So we nearly made it without crying.
We're gonna part two. Just like up there. Oh, she's glorious. Good nose. Got magic powers. I was getting tingles just reading it. Finally, she admits. Oh, get some water on your fingers now.
No, come on, sit. Hold. Yes, good girl. Yes, very good. Good girl. Yes, very good. Other paw. No, other paw. Yes.
Hello friends, I
I decided to get all dressed up and like in a proper outfit today, and I feel very cute. I had to do it because there's finally been like blue skies and a bit of sunshine, and it's not pouring with rain. I wanted to talk about some of the books that I have read or am planning to read this spring. This isn't all of them because I have a huge book order coming in. A couple of them have arrived, but not like my full order. I want to do like a full-on book haul when they all get here, but I wanted to talk about a couple of the ones that I have been reading this spring or that I plan to read this spring. So yeah, the first one at the top here is what I was actually reading on the walk this morning, which is just a selected poems of Emily Dickinson. I just feel like I want to read lots of classics and read lots of poetry this spring, so this kind of was a must. It is such a beautiful book, like, oh my God. And it's one of those books that I just feel like I want to display somewhere because she's so beautiful. I finished these two just recently. I bought them together and I read them back to back. This is the first one and this is the second one, but I read this one first and this one second. And you kind of can, because like there's a couple of similar characters between them, but they follow two completely different stories, but I love it so much. This is The League of Gentlewoman Witches. It is such a cute book. It featured quite a lot in a few of my vlogs recently of me just actually laughing to myself. It made me smile so much reading it. And then The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. Next one that I have here, I actually am only into the first like 5 chapters. I'm like literally like this deep in, and it is so good so far. I'm really struggling to put it down, and it's about this like town that for as long as they can all remember, have been sacrificing like the youngest child every single year to this witch who lives in the forest. But it turns out that it's actually not the case, and the witch actually isn't the one that is asking for these children to be like sacrificed to her, but she just thinks that the town keeps on like that a mother or someone keeps on just like leaving her baby in the forest, and so every year the witch goes and collects it so she can like take care of it and take it to a family. And one year when she goes to collect the child, she accidentally feeds it moonlight, which makes the child filled with magic, and magical children can be quite dangerous, so then she has to kind of look after this child. And that's all that I've gotten up to so far, but I'm loving it. I just love like books filled with magic, and this is just like ticking all of my boxes so far. This is the next one that I got. It is the most beautiful cover. Like, it just screams springtime to me. It's so pretty. It's called By Ash, Oak and Thorn. I'm pretty sure it's a children's book because I've only read like the first little bit of it, the first couple of chapters again, but it feels like something that I would read like to a kid as like their bedtime story, and it is so wholesome and so cute. These little folk who are like the caretakers of the forest, and they live in like this hollow of a tree essentially, but then they're forced to go on an adventure, and that's basically all I've gotten into is like them having to leave their home and go out on this adventure. So I don't really know much about it so far, but it's really sweet at the moment. Very like kids book-esque, and just exactly what I wanted to read this spring. Just like that magic and whimsy and all things like to do with like nature and folklore. This one actually is super random. I got this down in a bookstore when I went down to Rotorua, and it was just sitting on the counter when I went to pay for, I bought some like another deck of oracle cards. These ones here, the Woodland Wardens, these are like one of the most beautiful card decks that I now own. They're so gorgeous. But I went to buy them, and at the counter I saw this book, and I was like, that just looks exactly like the kind of book that I want to have in my house, just like on display. It's a treasury of folklore, woodlands and forests. It's not necessarily like a story, it's just like a bunch of little like kind of writings and pictures and stories about like different folklore about like the woodlands and the forests and like the creatures that inhabit it. And yeah, it's just really nice, and like I just love the cover of it. It's so beautiful, and one of those books that I want to have on display. The last one that I have here is the book that I just finished reading, and it's not necessarily a springtime read, but I mean like it's spring and I finished reading it in spring and it was really good, so I just wanted to like mention it. But it's The Woman of Troy. I, especially during like autumn and winter, went through a huge mythology reading phase, and I read The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker as well, and that was incredible, such a good book, and this is just like no exception. It was so amazing. It kind of carries on the story from where we left off, and it's just like the story of the War of Troy, but told from the woman's perspective. Such a powerful book, and so cool to hear these stories being told from like the perspective of the women, because I think there's just like so much power and potency in those stories. Really, really loved this book. Not necessarily like springtime aesthetic vibes, but so, so good. And I just highly recommend this. And that's all of the books that I've read this spring so far, / ones that I am getting round to reading. And there's a lot more to come. I've just made myself a delicious pot of peach tea, which is another little like spring, summer favorite. I'm so excited for it to be hot summer and to have like a nice cooler filled with iced peach tea. It's gonna be so good. So good. So can we appreciate all of my little ceramic, it's actually not ceramics because they're not fired, but all of my air dried clay pieces. These are the ones that me and Phoebe made the other day. These like little Palo Santo holders. So it'll just sit in there just like that. And then this, my mug that I made a while ago, I painted these little flowers on them, and then the inside this beautiful vibrant orange. And I actually might take this one to get fired because after painting the flowers on it, I don't know, I'm just obsessed. Like, I think it's the cutest thing, even if it's like a really ugly mug shape. I just think it's like, it's so cute. I made this little vase. It was mostly just to practice making a vase. But yeah, now I have that. Here's the pool. Go get it. Go get it. Good girl, babe.
Allow yourself to breathe. Notice the natural rhythm of your inhales, your pauses, and your exhales. Give yourself the opportunity to tune into